transition. I don't have my stream deck tonight. That is the bothersome thing that's still in the packing. But we turn off studio mode. And if I just, hello, how is everybody this evening? I'm just going to pull up my creator's dashboard on Twitch and just see how we sound. Creator dashboard. Hopefully I'll catch the end of, the tail end of you guys sounding off just now. No, can I get everybody sound off again real quick?
Hello. There, Romeo.
Hello.
Words.
You just said words.
Words.
Exactly.
Quite literally, yeah.
Okay, we are sounding A-OK. Hello and welcome to DC30 and our Mythic Odyssey of Theros. D&D with an ancient Greek twist. I am your Dungeon Master, Romeo, and I do pardon my lighting setup this evening, but things are a little bit in flux as I am moving to a new location. This place will be... The good news is that there will be fewer This is a much quieter abode. But things are still being packed up in transit and whatnot, so things are going to be a bit flexy, at least until I get it fully set up. But rest assured, by next session, that should be the case. How is everybody this evening?
Tip top. How you doing?
Good, good. Morse will hopefully be with us. He's just trying to figure out tech issues. Morse, feel free to text one of the other players with what you want Scotty to do, if you like. And they can gesture you.
I was going to say, who's the most responsible one here? Bithynia.
You assume that, but who's the most responsible to do, Scotty, is the question.
I feel like you're all equally responsible and irresponsible in different ways. Like,
well, truth be told, I know not to follow Hidera if she ever dives down in the sea ever again.
Like, Bithynia's responsible, to be sure, but she also has, like, I don't know what the... You know those Class 6 driver's licenses, like the top-tier ones that you can only get to drive a truck? Like, they have to do, like, all the... She has one of those, except as a monster fucker permit. Like, she has, like, the highest rank of monster fucker permit.
It's negotiation tactics, okay?
Violet, in my defense, I think Xanthia jumped first. And I followed, and then you followed.
Yeah. Oh my god. There we go. Okay, so new canon. Bithynia tattooed just below her panty line has negotiation tactics.
Sometimes you have to put out to get in. Right.
Yep. Not wrong. And on that note, unless anybody has any announcements of their own, I don't have anything in particular myself, but I'll defer to my lovely players. And then let's kick off with tonight's episode of our Mythic Odyssey of Theros.
But would it
Okay.
make it easier to like edit it in the future
Um.
to reflect who's in those games?
So the main part of that would be just the titles on top. We are live back to us, by the way. That's always easy for me to edit. It's just the new title sequence is going to be busier. Let's say that.
Okay.
And so I'm just checking the feasibility. No, I'm talking like 3D animation kind of thing. So it's like I need to see what's possible. But rest assured, I'll have an update soon. And we're back. And so last we left off, quite simply after, purchasing and shopping and preparing for the evening that was to come, the summit. I was in the feast before the summit, where you would meet with dignitaries from all of the nations of Theros, who have come to Miletis at Bithynia's invitation to hopefully discuss and come to an agreement on how to deal with the army of undead that lays siege to Akros. You headed to this feast, this event, this shoulder-rubbing affair. The preparation was long, to be sure. Dresses were bought, dresses were modified. Pre-gaming was done at the fort. Emotions ran high. But all in all, you find yourselves cresting the hill of the sort of Acropolian, like the section of like sort of mountainlet that overlooks all of Miletis, where the Acropolis and the governing body of Miletis sits. The section that's sort of towards the back, but in the sort of central political district, that main agora, that is in itself shadowed by the observatory at the top of the largest mountain. But this section here is nonetheless somewhat elevated, and you are led aside by the guards. Announcing the heroes of Miletis, Tempest, and you step forward. And you do see before you. Now, let me see if I've got something to set the mood.
Hero pose, you guys. Everyone with a piece of divinity. Hero pose. Hero pose. Fireworks in the back.
Ooh, there's a new update to voice mod. Bitchin'. Hey, Helena, tell me you cast cure wounds.
I cast Cure Wounds. Sparkles!
Sunshine.
Tamara, tell me you cast healing wave.
Healing wave.
Matt Mercer was right. You do end up sounding like you one of those radio morning hosts, like Reedy and the brain. That's actually what he said about why he doesn't use too many sound effects. But that was a massive sidestep.
Whatever makes you happy, bud. Whatever makes you happy.
It does. Wondering if I have something for the do beg your pardon.
Random question. Are there
Yeah.
like candles or fires, whatever, like in the down below where we're gonna come from?
Yes, there are. Let's just go with this one. I may change my mind.
Anyone else lose Romeo's voice?
Yeah, I can't hear him anymore.
Yeah, I can't hear his sultry tones.
Oh, no. There's a lot of
Something's loading,
hand
apparently.
movement.
And we're rolling.
Something's happening. We need to give him a second.
I should be
Seconds.
audible now. It's that
Oh,
stupid thing where the
yay!
voice mod needs a second to kick in. So I'm just gonna go with the nighttime air kind of thing.
Mhm.
Oh my god, it's like every time I tell a joke.
Nope, that is so awkward. Never mind.
Playing cricket at night.
Let's just go with this one instead.
We still can't hear him.
No.
No.
Oh, he's aware. I think he said he was aware.
Okay. Basically,
Great.
when you hear the ambience is when you can hear me again.
Cool.
'Cause it's the same output. I gotta fix that at some point, but I will figure that out. So yes, Vila, basically, what you see before you is a resplendent display. No expense has been spared. Your vaguely familiar sight to you, Vila. Sorry, Hilira. You've attended one or two sort of extravagant affairs in Akaros in the past. It's there's only so many ways to skin a cat. There are tables laden out that have leaning couches next to them for someone who wants to relax, but they are laden with all manner of feasted foods, cured meats, grilled meats, balls of sort of bundles of rice wrapped in olive leaves. Just a impressive display. Tables heaving, and the tables themselves are no more than maybe 6 meters in length each, but each one of them is generally sort of more arranged in a slightly more geometric shape, and no two seem to be alike. It's this it's curious. You sort of lean back slightly as you try to sort of like stand up to get a tiptoe of them. You get the sense that it might almost look like a bit of mathematical confusion. The tables are quite bizarre in that sense, but it seems like a design choice. And they're heaving with food. Each one of them has plenty of space, like a solid 20 feet gap in between each table that, various people are sort of weaving in and out of. And it's like it has an air of like an evening festival kind of thing to you. There are minstrels playing and there are different dancers and other things to entertain, but overall it's a free-for-all in terms of picking the nibbles and stuff like that. And yes, it is lit most resplendently with a variety of torches which float about suspended magically.
Cool. So they're not candles. Or they're candles that are like...
There's be some candles on the table. The main light, though, is coming from these censers, which are burning with sort of bright hot coals and are floating back and forth.
As we are announced, can I make the candles all like kind of do like the sparkling thing that you get when it's your birthday and they bring, in the restaurant and they start singing?
Sure.
And I want them to have different colors.
Go for it.
So
Make a performance check.
Oh, I'm not good at this.
Don't worry. The DC is low.
Okay. Which dice? I'm going to use my Xanthia dice. Oh no! Natural 1!
Wow.
Dice Jill.
Classical Xanthia dice.
It's going to be one of those evenings, everyone.
Too distracted by Xanthia's beauty.
So there's this really grizzled old dignitary who's... Sorry, 1 second. Let me just make sure I get my names right. Who's got a sort of like pauldron that upon it has a red harpy on a black field that's sort of surrounded by a border of wave patterns on it. He's got a sort of like a big, cleanly kept but bright bushy beard. And he's just in the process of loading his plate with food. And he sort of just scans across the table and says, "Ooh, Shifter, yeah." And he sort of leans over the table close to a candle, right as... And it's glorious. It's a cantrip. But it's like... It's somewhat overshadowed by like 4 different people who rush to help pat this guy's beard out. But it is still spectacular, and you are all announced. And you are free to mingle.
Okay, quick questions. There like a seating order or?
No, there are a few seats. It's more of a nibbles type situation. It's like a buffet without seating. Everyone sort of carries their own plates or can find their own tables. There are tables set up where you can sit down and sort of eat like that way, but it's you get the sense that it is informal by design to encourage mingling.
Interesting. Okay, good to know.
Seeing as how everyone is just standing at the top of the stairs, I say, just play it cool, yeah. And I just walk confidently downstairs up to the biggest plate of meat I can find. Just tear off a leg and then another, and then just casually, just like just completely fine in myself, just nomming down. And if anyone makes eye contact, I give them the just completely shameless, just eating. I'm good. I'm not making any kind of mingling at this point. I'm letting people come to me.
Okay.
What are the rest of you guys going to do? You
Yeah.
going to follow my lead?
Yeah, Bethania would. She would go down to the table and she would definitely maybe not take a leg or slot or something that's already on the table, but she would definitely take like maybe some fruit nibbles, something like that, just something light, so that if she needs to speak, she would be able to quickly without having a mouthful.
Oh, come
So
on,
she will
Bitty,
be-
live a little.
Had plenty of times in my life where I've learned good to be ready to speak and not get caught with a mouthful when.
Okay.
All right. Botch and Bithynia are eating, but in a pronounced place in order to potentially attract attention. Very well.
Indeed.
What about the rest of you?
I think Xanthia would look around and see if there's any dignitary-looking person who's kind of like standing by themselves, not really engaging with the whole situation that they're in.
Make a perception check.
Perception, let's see. 10.
You see, so he's not really by himself. He has an entourage. But you spot a boy, no older than 16, sort of nervously sort of flitting through to the tables and grabbing food, and looks really out of place, looks really awkward. He wears a fairly nice, resplendent crown upon his head, made entirely out of electrum with emeralds lining it.
Would I know, like, at the top of my head who that is?
Make a history check.
Oh, don't tell me no, Dr.
You could very
Dice.
well. It's not a terribly high DC as well here.
History. That's a 5.
Not sure. He is wearing a sort of white attire that has a sort of golden orange trim to it.
Okay. He's human,
Human.
I would assume?
Yeah.
Yeah. I turn to Hilera and I just, like, vaguely point in his direction.
Who is it?
Looks like a king.
Can I make a check?
Looks important.
Yeah, make a history check, Elira.
Okay. Which dice do I use now? Okay.
Not
No,
the
they're in
Zambia
dice jail. That's
Good choice.
why can't I roll higher than a 5? 9.
9 succeeds.
Yeah.
It was, again, this is not a terribly unknown figure. It's just one of those where possible to miss if one wasn't looking. With the 907, you don't know too much about him. However, you do recall you do recall hearing mention of someone named the Boy King Agregor, who is the current king of Delathon, who assumed power when his father passed away. Many say too young. Sorry, did I mess that up slightly? Yeah, sorry, my brain is very Theros, sorry. Not Delathon, Theros. And quick little retcon because my brain is fried. He's not wearing it's not an orange trim, it's a black trim. It's a white with a black trim. So yeah, King Agregor, his father passed away young for a man, so many would say, leaving Agregor to assume responsibility. Many say too young. And yeah, he still looks like a boy. He looks younger than Helira.
Can I kind of look around and do I see any like Acroans? I know they probably wouldn't be here, but they
Make a
also
perception
could.
check.
I too will cast around for some Acroan attire.
Cool.
Okay, make a perception check as well.
Thank you.
I believe in you, Ellie.
That's a bad idea. 11 total.
You don't see anybody.
Yeah, I roll a 5.
18.
You spot just about. You spot a set of red robes and an unmistakable formal breastplate that so it's basically like a bronze breastplate in the traditional Akron styles. Particularly, this one is quite ornate. It's lined with small humanoid figures that are embossed into the metal that depict an epic battle and stories along the armor. But it itself is framing a toga that drapes around it and sort of frames a red sash that frames the bronze armor. That is unmistakably Akron formal attire, and it is currently being worn by a older gentleman who looks to be in
Bless you.
his 60s to 70s. He has longer hair that he's basically braided back into a almost like a rat tail style braid, but sort of just collected in like almost like a mohawk braid that goes down the center of his back. And he has quite a long beard. It sort of manages to hit his sternum. And he's sort of moseying about.
Do I recognize him? Would I know him?
Roll
Know
a
of
history
him?
check.
Oh. History. Okay. That was betrayal. Dice, that was betrayal. That was so good. That was almost a 20 and then you became an 8. I will never forgive you for this. 14.
Doesn't look familiar.
Darn. Okay. Bacchios. In your brain, you'll hear Hilira's voice and she'll go, Akron, 6 o'clock. In your brain, you hear it. I can't hear you, but you're muted.
So you don't hear a response. I just freeze like. And I swivel slowly to check out. Do I recognize this chap?
Make a history check.
Oh, great. This is
I
where the
still
low
believe
rolls
you.
continue. That's a 4 plus 0, so a 4.
Wow.
I'm fairly certain he used to bring presents to me when I was a little boy. No, I'm kidding. You don't know who he is.
Doesn't look like Santa Claus. Okay, cool.
He does look like Santa Claus, but there is no Santa Claus. I didn't want to be
Wait,
mean.
there's
So.
no Santa? What are you
Not
talking
in Theros.
Wait, what?
There's Nikolaos, the demigod, who's a multi-class berserker and a drunken fist monk, I think. Oh man, next one shot I'm gonna play a version of Santa Claus. It's decided.
Done. Do it.
Thank you kindly. A generous person in the comment section asked me if I'd like some loose leaf tea, and I said thank you.
I'm guessing that's your brother.
That is correct.
Oh.
So, whilst that is all happening, and you're having a look, can I get both Bithynia and Botch to roll me a d20? I'm going to say just straight d20.
I got a 15.
15? Okay.
And a 5.
But I
You
would
just-
like to go talk to that kid.
Oh, you're going to go talk to the kid?
Well, I mean, whatever's going on, but this is like to-do list.
So I'm assuming
That's
you
my
guys...
kid.
Yeah.
I found it first.
So I'm assuming you guys have spent as much time looking around as you've spent describing to me this. So in that time, if you two are eating and are being conspicuous in order to hopefully be noticed,
Correct.
you would be approached based off of that combined roll.
Okay.
Now,
So,
sorry, go ahead.
Bithynia will probably tap or nudge Bakhios on the shoulder, or like nudge him to maybe put down his food or meat or whatever he's noshing on, and to maybe clear his throat before they get to us.
And Botch will give Bithynia a look to say, "Are you fucking kidding me? This is delicious."
And she'll look back like, "Yes, I am."
I'll say this then. You go to protest further, Bithynia, but you might possibly, and I'll leave it up to you, decide to refrain from doing so because you see that the one who is actually approaching you both is a incredible, and I'm talking like he owns it, but it is prominent. Like your reaction is, damn, fat-bellied minotaur.
Oh lord, he coming.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not even it's not like subtle either. It's not like like he is large and in charge about it. He's moto about it. Like he just he leads belly first, full on roadhog style, and is just yeah, basically. And he's got brown fur, sort of like a light brown fur, the color of Virla's top, almost-ish, but maybe a few shades darker. And he has quite fluffy fur. You notice as well. It's not like sort of short and stiff like you might find on a ranch bull or something like that. This is a little bit like he looks soft a little bit. You notice that he has one eye shut, completely scarred over. On the same side, one of his horns is severed by about that much. But he barrels over quite jauntily, like boom, 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 and sort of makes himself apparent to you guys.
Bithynia with both
continue-
of her hands like clasped with the
continue-
food down will just
and I
say,
continue
"Hello, it's good to
chewing.
meet you."
Good to meet you both. What's it, you botch? My friend, would it be wise to assume that this entire table is off limits, or do you, as I suspect you may be, strike me as a benevolent fellow willing to share a table with this old man?
I swallow and then say, "It strikes me that you are quite accustomed to the beneficence of people sharing their tables. So please crack on yourself, sir.
Oh, you're entirely too kind. Thank you, thank you. And, may I say, your attire is most bold this evening.
Thank you. Your fleur is so fluffy this evening.
Ah, yes, I
How do you do it?
blow dry. It takes forever.
Who's doing the blowing?
7 different people. Have you seen how much fur I have? He like laughs a full-on like belly laugh, like the multitude of personalities in this city never fails to elicit a smile from my face.
Great. And
How are you all this wonderful evening?
I just look down to Bithynia already with another mouthful of food.
Hello, it's nice to meet you. She's just politely saying. And what was your name again?
Oh, forgive me. Pardon my manners. As he jostles about like this, both of you to make a perception check.
Oh, that's better. 22.
Oh, nat 1 + 3, 4.
All right. Bithynia is mesmerized by his belly, which is a just mesmerizing ripple of flesh that like dong dong. Botch, you spot a pendant around his neck that's sort of like nestled in between the fur. You see it for about half a second. It is a small idol depicting the visage of Ifara. Before it sort of vanishes back into the fur.
Okay.
And that strikes even you as weird.
Remind me again, sorry, as a player, who is Ifara?
She is the goddess of the polis, the domains of knowledge. She is Bithynia's patron. She is
Okay.
book smart, civilization, prim and proper.
Yeah.
You know, all things a minotaur would supposedly be not all about.
And is this guy, does he have his attention completely on us at this point? Or is he
With
currently
the 22, yeah, looks like it.
Oh, okay, cool. So I file that away for mental note as a mental note. Cool.
Did he give us his name?
Oh no, sorry, I was getting to that. It was just part of that point. I am Mubarak. Here representing Scorphos at the invitation of this great city.
Yes, I'm so glad that you were able to make it all the way from Scorphos. Have you been here before?
Once or twice. Mine and my ilk are generally entrusted with the task of playing nice for all others that inhabit Scorphos are deemed unqualified. He laughs again.
But then you will give a smile. Well, I'm delighted that you were able to make it. I was hopeful, and I think many here were as well, that we could collectively come together and, make use of the resources that we have.
I agree. Mine and my brethren within the lesser peristyle try to encourage this philosophy amongst our people, but we have limited success. It is the nature of my kind to have strong hearts. and they unfortunately seem more predisposed to a simpler way of doing things that is not without its faults.
She'll look over to Vakios. Have you ever been up there to Skothos before?
Would I have been up to Skothos?
You've never been within the confines of Skophos. Skophos is not necessarily on good terms with the rest of the polis.
Yeah.
Frequent clashes break out, especially with Akros. It's usually petty shit. It's not like a vendetta necessarily kind of thing, but like it's like a fuck those guys, and they're like, hey, fuck you too, buddy, kind of thing.
So like the English and Scottish.
Yeah,
These
circa
days,
the
these days.
1400. Circa the 1400. Notice, like English and Scottish, circa the 1400s.
Yeah, fair enough. Nope. Never had the pleasure of going up there, although it would have been mighty fun to have tested myself against some of your warriors when I was in my prime.
I know that feeling. As I'm sure you yourself have experienced, I too have a history on the battlefield, especially against your people, like you have mine.
Yep. How long ago was that? More than 10 years?
Oh, yes.
Yep.
But that is the nature of those of us who live for battle, is it not?
That's right. That's right. And I take another angry chunk out of the deer leg that I'm just chomping into.
He takes an angry chunk of like a haunch of pork, but his is like bestial, but he seems jovial about it. He's like he's pretty not oblivious, but he doesn't seem to have it to be radiating any malice. His But hey, but alas, how may we purport ourselves to be better than beasts if we cannot laugh and celebrate as much as we snarl and fight?
How indeed. What brings you to a council of this nature then, considering our history? Surely Skothos would want to keep their nose clean of everything a-crowing.
We were invited.
Fair enough.
The invitation seemed formal enough that the ruling bodies of Skophos deemed it worthwhile to, at a minimum, send those of us of the lesser peristyle to understand. You are right. My people would prefer to stay out of this. But perhaps something that would persuade them could be discovered.
What would persuade you what would persuade you? Consider that it was Skothos under siege and not Akros. What would you think would persuade everyone else to come to your way?
I agree. I am of the mindset that my people should assist. If it were Skophos, I would tell all that this is a threat that affects all of us. And even if we cared nothing to settle our personal differences, we cannot continue to have our disagreements if there are none of us left.
Very well.
It is not my heart that needs convincing. It is that of my people. What I feel and what I know will convince my masters, those who rule Skophos, are separate affairs, I fear.
Then why did they send you?
Always use the right tool for the right job. Us in the lesser peristyle are the few amongst Minotaur kind that, at least as far as those who reside in Scorphos are concerned, capable of those higher echelons of civilization, such as diplomacy, discussion, and finesse in the social sense. We are barbarians, to be sure, but we are capable of engaging in discourse where others of our brethren would lack the knowledge and experience.
Very well. I wish I could say that I was in a similar position. Tell you what, right, if you really wanted to sort of get the lay of the land, so to speak, right, and find out whether or not this would be a good investment from your part, you see that really eager-looking human over there in the really nice red dress with gold trimming? That there is Hilira, right? She is aristocracy. She's proper high up in the echelons of our society. I feel like you and her could have a really good chat.
Interesting. Perhaps I shall do so. It is a pleasure to see a man who is willing to make the full use of those who he calls allies.
Oh, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I'm out of my comfort zone. If you and me wanted to go toe-to-toe or horn-to-horn, so to speak, outside to see who's the better warrior, then I'm your man, and Hilira can take the sidelines then. But, for all matters of discourse, diplomacy, and using words, I feel like Hilira is the best person for the job.
Very well. I fear I would be out of my comfort zone in, fisticuffs with yourself. That was never my forte.
I thought you said you'd been on many a battlefield.
I have. And he will cast Minor Illusion.
Oh.
And just show you a small little miniature depiction of himself. Younger, to be sure. Holding a ballista in two hands that almost resembles like a rocket launcher. Out of character, he is an artillerist artificer.
Makes sense. Okay. Very well. And I don't know. I sort of gesture over towards where Hilira is as a way of trying to bring this conversation to an end.
Cool. Whilst that is happening, then, Hilira, were you and Xanthia both going to go talk to King Gregor? Okay.
I would have gone there at least. I don't know if Hilera would have accompanied me or.
You.
Okay, you can do so. So we rewind a little bit. Whilst Mubarak approaches Bithynia and Botch, and the two of you head towards King Gregor. And you walk up to him, and he looks up, sort of like a.
Xanthia just gives like a very short bow to like acknowledge that he's a king, She's not used to like speaking to people who are like that high in power. She's just like more of a people's gal, But then she's like, Your Highness, Your Majesty, are you enjoying the party so far?
Oh yeah, food's nice. You're made of metal.
Oh, that's just a special kind of armor. Just a regular trident.
That's cool.
Really is.
He sort of like just really awkwardly takes another bite.
So, have you been to Melodies before?
Few times, yeah. My parents took me once or twice before. First time, in a while.
Yeah. Can I introduce you to my very lovely girlfriend at the Silera? I'm Xanthia. And
You need to roll a Constitution saving throw because I think that's the first time Xanthia has used that term.
If I roll not a natural one, I'm done. I'm gonna go home. 14.
Okay, you're fine.
you get a +4.
Oh yay!
Okay, if you had rolled another nat 1 and only a nat 1, I would have had you turn the same color as your dress. But that doesn't happen. Like, oh, hi. Hi.
Have you already been shown around? Do you want to tour
Of the city?
or just the party? Or, I don't know.
And just to be clear, he's not alone. He has like 4 theory
Yeah.
and hoplites manning him. They're not like giving you any trouble or anything like that, but just to paint a correct picture here. And yeah, they're dressed in those sort of black and white attire, with on their shields the torch symbol, which is the flame of Theros. Okay. What is there to see?
I don't think we really know either. So we can explore it together.
Yeah, we just arrived just a couple moments ago, and
Did you see Xanthia's really cool weapon? She got it from a god.
Really?
I know. She's so cool.
would you like to take a look?
So you draw the trident, and the hoplites go, and then
Okay, be calm.
like
I'm trying to hold
they
it as,
almost
like-
they almost own it as like a sorry, what's the habit?
All good, all good.
Whoa, he's afraid to even take it from you because he's just like, that's so cool.
I know, right? And we have multiple people with these things, you know.
Who are you guys?
Oh, yeah. We're Tempest, and we're like really, really keen on saving Akros.
Yeah, the heroes of Melody, no biggie.
Oh my god, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Would you like to meet the others? Like, I'm happy to introduce you, or if you'd rather not, that's also fine.
He like sort of he
I don't
looks at his
wanna,
different
be on the
handlers
spot.
and okay, my advisor said to stay put for a second. They were gonna go do a thing, but make a persuasion check.
Okay.
Can I assist you?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, that's not too bad. That would be a 21.
21. Okay.
We can, if you want, we can also like call them over and you don't have to move and they can come here.
Would that be
That
okay?
If that makes you feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just I don't want to they get mad when I get
Yeah, and then there's yelling and that's not
yeah
fun.
yeah it's not fun.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
just like look around and try to find Bithynia.
Okay,
and
they're still
Arceus
talking to the
make eye contact
chonky
with them.
minotaur. Amalia, what are you doing throughout all this?
Amalia?
Eating like fruit and stuff, like on the table, like this.
Okay, well you see Xanthia waving
And then
at
I'm
you.
looking for also like gesturing to Scotty for him to come over.
Scotty will
Or
come over.
other-
Take out my fruit plate and then walk over with the fruit.
All of you will probably also hear in your brain, come over, there's a king. Come over, there's a king. Come over. Hi, Buckios, there's a king. Come talk to us.
Okay, we'll say that that's the point you notice Hilira and say to Mubarak to talk to her.
So I'm guessing Bithynia would recognize this king with her background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
So she
question.
will go over there pretty informally comparatively, and she will address them and say, King of Gregor, it's good to see you here.
Hi. Have we met?
I don't think we have, but you are from Theros, correct?
Yeah.
And then she
Right.
will put her arms out to possibly bring him in for a hug. It's good to see someone from there, so close to Melodies.
Oh, thank you. He's really awkward about it. He's a very awkward 16-year-old.
She's definitely
love him
going
so
to give
much.
him a very tight hug and just really just very warm, just very excited, just happy to see him and say I'm so glad that you're able to make it. I know it's a bit of a bit of time to get here, but
Yeah,
and then
it
she'll
wasn't
look.
too bad. The hoplites are really unsure about how to process all of this. They're like, what?
Can I gesture to them like she's cool?
And so then she's completely ignoring everything, but she's just so excited to see him here. So because she didn't hear the old conversation, is this your first time here, or have you been to Melodies before?
I've been a few times when I was. It was a while ago. My mom and dad took me a couple times.
Oh, that's delightful. I was born in Theros, and I haven't been for many years, but I have many fond memories of that area from my childhood.
Oh, that's so cool. What part?
The city, actually, proper. But I can tell you, I don't know. Did you ever have the opportunity to go to the Cave of Constellations by chance?
Yeah, within the city, I've visited many times.
You'll just see her eyes glow. It was my favorite part of my childhood. My dad used to take me there when he was off of work. I don't know if you ever got to go. Did you go with your family, or did you go with your friends, or alone?
I generally went with my father, mother, or, guards, or, friends too, under supervision and all that. Yeah, they're in the heart of the city, so I used to be able to go there from the palace all the time.
How fortunate we are to know of the beauty of the Cave of Constellations. I only have the constellations within the sky here within Melodies, but I don't think anyone can understand the beauty of the magic that is within those caves without seeing it for themselves.
Everybody else make a history check whilst Bithynia is talking about this, just for context.
All right.
Natural 2, baby.
Oh, that's pretty good. 17.
Natural 1.
Okay.
Grand.
So Hilira, the Caves of Constellation, it only rings a bell for you. It's near to the city of Theros. It's a series of openings that lead to a sprawling network of caverns full of glittering jewels of every variety that, when you sort of go inside, resemble starlight in the sky. None have ever truly plumbed the depths of this cavernous network. Though most of the jewels towards the surface have been mined.
Okay. Another question. Does the boy king still have a mother?
Yes.
Darn.
I was gonna make you roll for it, but
There goes our plan tomorrow. Darn it.
I mean, you can probably.
We wanted to adopt him.
Okay.
Can I have a clarification on that?
Yeah, sure.
Because I
was
have
just-
it on
Oh,
mine.
so go ahead.
It says ruler, the current ruler, King Gregor, is a 16-year-old whom inherited the throne unexpectedly when his parents both perished to sickness.
I am way too tired, and so if that's what I wrote
So-
down, then that's probably the case. Thank you for catching that.
I want to make sure
Yes.
that.
Nope, that is a failing on the DM's part, and I thank you for catching that because it has been a heck of a few days. So thank you for that. So yes, no, both his parents perished to sickness. Someone who was who purported to be somewhat of a professional DM might have brushed up beforehand. Y'all are stuck with me. No, I'm kidding. Yes, no, sorry. Both parents perished due to sickness.
So he needs
But
two
hey-
moms, is what I'm hearing.
Well, you probably wouldn't say no to two mommies either.
Sorry, sidetrack.
So, so Mathilda's just going to keep talking to him about this going on nonchalantly. Well, I'm so glad to see you. It's a very brave thing to be in a position of leadership, and you were here with many great individuals from across Theros. But your point of view and your understanding will be welcomed with everyone else who has something to say on this matter.
Indeed, we are all grateful that all the nations can come together, and you all hear a familiar, especially to you, Bithynia, prickish voice
I
interject.
didn't invite him.
As everyone sort of shuffles slightly, and you see arms behind his back, head held high, in his best Miletian blue formal attire, Cadmus, your uncle.
I hate that man so much.
Our city is made so much the more glowing and resplendent thanks to your presence, King Gregor. And a dignitary from Scophos, unprecedented. I mean this sincerely, Virla, your reactions are the highest compliment right now.
I hate this man so much. I have a physical reaction when he opens his mouth. Can we just kill him? But then
I was
can we
thinking
just
this.
kill him?
I was thinking at the beginning of the session, I'm like, I didn't send my uncle an invite, but Romeo will probably put him in here. But no, it's fine. It's fine. Okay.
Yeah, he just didn't. I returned, my liege, with your advisors. They grew worried for you. And yeah, you see a troop of about 6 or 7 Therian sort of like older, like male and female officials sort of shuffle in and close ranks somewhat around the kid.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you here, Uncle. I have been out and about for some while, but I'm glad that you were able to grace us with your presence this evening with the rest of the dignitaries and individuals who were able to make it.
Indeed, it is a wonderful evening for all. May it be fruitful. He sort of raises his cup. May we arrive at many an accord tomorrow, and may it be resplendent for all, for I feel it shall be a good evening. Good for diplomacy, and good all round. I look forward to assisting in the negotiations. He sort of takes a big gulp.
And Bithynia will painfully smile. Yes, I wouldn't want to have a lack of representation from anyone, not less the family that I do have. So I'm sure that whatever context you can provide will be taken into consideration as your history and experience has been more than helpful in more than one circumstance. And hopefully it will be tomorrow as well.
Indeed. Oh, you've not heard?
I've been out. I've been out and about doing things.
Can I do one thing?
Yeah?
before you continue? Can I just turn away from this man? And can I try and cast Detect Thoughts without getting noticed and focus it? Surface thoughts so he doesn't have to make a saving throw on Uncle.
Make a sleight of hand check.
Okay. Can I hide behind Buckios though while I do it? Because he's
Sure.
strong and buff. Would that give me anything?
It's going to impact the DC.
Okay. Also, can I also hide behind Xanthia and they both like square up a little bit? So
I ain't squaring up. I'm still eating. That's all I'm doing.
This is going to turn into a
Well-
group stealth check in a second because you're all like sort of bundling up or something. It's going to arouse suspicion.
my dice hate me. You're also going to dice jail.
What'd you roll?
I rolled a 2, so 5.
Okay.
And I was hiding.
Stop rolling.
You're in the... I'll say this. You're in the middle of... He says, haven't you heard? You're right, my dear. And he sort of just calls you out.
I don't respond. I keep casting a spell.
Double down.
Yeah, I doubled down.
Okay.
I just said, don't worry about it.
I am all for trying to fight our way out of here. That's all I'm saying.
I think the theme at this point is going to be like wave his hand or her hand and I don't know, persuade or something. It'll be like, you were saying, haven't I heard something? You've never been one to stop when it comes to gloating, so please continue.
Ever the pleasant conversationalist. Our esteemed friend Oribasus has fallen ill. In his absence, I am acting Master of Administration. You okay there, Riddler?
No, that's Red Flag City. That man did something.
So she's going to say, that man fell ill. That's curious. He seemed to be on the up and up the last time. Paths crossed, I guess. I don't know.
Let's be brutally honest. He's a gigantic fat fuck who partook in wine and sweetmeats entirely too much. And he's not, like, Cadmus is not entirely wrong when he says that. Oribasus was good at what he did, but he was a lush and did not eat or drink very well. So just to add that context.
So she'll go full in. She'll say, well, it takes one to know one, and I can assure you that you can't necessarily determine someone's health by looking at them. You can be completely full of wine and hog and healthy as hell, and you can be thin and sickly and on your deathbed. I find this to be quite curious, but I wish him well.
True. We can only hope he has a speedy recovery.
And when did you take over this position?
Within the last 10 days or so. At this point, I'll say the spell finishes casting.
Cool.
You pick up just a real smarmy sense of pride and accomplishment.
Okay.
And sort of you pick up more than one sort of unkind thought left, like just about you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And just on that line in particular, you hear, fat fucking deed would have happened eventually either way.
Would Bithynia have heard that?
No, so this is
okay.
because she's casting Detect Thoughts.
I would have mentally sent that your way, though. So you would have gotten that in your brain, like, your uncle just thought, add sentence here.
Yeah, and you can play it back. So it's basically, yeah, it's basically the verbatim that you hear Bithynia is, fat fucking deed would have only been a matter of time anyway.
So she's going to look. She'll raise an eyebrow out of that and look at her uncle and say, "Well, I guess we definitely have different positions and responsibilities based on what is needed for the city. Some of it is earned and others taken, but I'm sure that in this circumstance, he'll be able to return as soon as possible. We'll see if I can't make sure of that. I'm certain that you're quite busy with your affairs. It's hard to do 2 jobs at once, so maybe, with his return, you'll be able to go back to where you are best.
Indeed, the workload has become burdensome. Perhaps I could stand to delegate a little. Are you looking for work, young lady? He looks at you, Helira.
What is he thinking as Bithynia said those words? Does it still just mean things? Or am I catching anything more?
So you did fail your sleight of hand check.
So he knows. Probably.
He's projecting really, really gross things that involve you. And a administrative office scenario.
Well, I don't think I'm made for doing that kind of work. I don't think I'm, words are hard, politics. I don't think that's really my thing.
I trust your judgment on that endeavor. You know your mind best.
I do. Have you met my girlfriend, Cynthia?
I'm so sorry. I thought you were part of the scenery. That is a resplendent display you have there.
Thank you. Have you seen my piece of divinity yet? Just flexing that a little bit.
Outstanding.
Quite a powerful artifact.
Truly, our city is blessed to have such fine heroes. A unique, especially sort of eyes it up and down.
Always happy
a unique
to
specimen.
defend the city. Sorry,
He sort of eyes up Atmos and down. It is unique to be sure as well. Congratulations.
Yes. Always ready to, strike down enemies near and far, defend the city. All of Theros.
So Bithynia will look over to her uncle. With all of your engagements in wartime activities, were you ever gifted with anything? Or did you earn anything on your own? Or with the help of friends? Anyone?
Oh, I've had a variety of gifts from all manner of grateful individuals I've done business with. Why, I received a most resplendent ceremonial corpus, a ceremonial sword, from King Onyx himself for my assistance in facilitating his stay last here was in our city. And you know the name King Onyx. He was the former king of Akros, Illyria. I still hang it above the mantelpiece. It's a truly exquisite piece. The brass filigree is... They say Akroans know nothing of art, but I disagree entirely. There is a beauty in that, in the brutality of that weapon.
It truly is. So, do you hang it above the fireplace because you can't use it anymore? You know, that sometimes happens with old age. I've heard.
Happens to us all, my dear. Make sure you stretch regularly. He sort of, as part, like he rolls into it and like clicks his back, making a joke about it. But I wouldn't dare to take up such a beautiful piece. It is a work of art not worthy for my hand. I wouldn't sully it with my swordsmanship.
I agree.
Something like that is to be admired.
From a distance, probably.
Most certainly, so you can take it all in.
I'm not as familiar with it. I don't remember it growing up necessarily. Was it a recent acquisition?
I've had it for a number of years. I wouldn't expect you to remember it. I never sensed you had much passion for items of substance. You always preferred your esoteric texts and niche lore. But I digress.
I think you were mistaken. My interests in both are similar. The difference is that my interest is where they're earned and not taken.
On that we agree. Nonetheless, we truly are grateful for your heroism. And we hope to see you through. He sort of raises his cup. Everyone! And he just gets everybody's attention, so everyone's looking at you. To Tempest! Heroes of Meletis! Wielders of the divinity of the gods! And he gestures to Atmos and Nimiras, which I assume what you're carrying, and Matizi, which is floating by your head, and Galio. Our saviors! And he drinks, and you know, people politely clap, and they also raise a glass to you all. It feels a bit more like when you have like everyone at work collapse together, kind of like is it like a not all the dignitaries know you, but like oh, we're doing this now. Yes.
As he takes his, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm gonna try. As he tries to take a sip of his drink, can I use thaumaturgy to like make his glass shake a little bit and it like splashes him?
Make a wisdom check.
No. Why am I doing this? I hate this man so much. I just want him to fail at something. Wisdom check, okay. 10.
I'm gonna roll a straight d20. If it is equal to or lesser than the 10, you succeed.
Please roll low. We've all been rolling low. Just let me have this. I'm not trying to harm him.
And with a
Just his
3,
ego.
he sort of goes down the wrong pipe, so he's like and sort of after shooting you a side eye, Mubarak says, "You okay there, little man?" And he does the whole like choking bat pack, but with the full brawn of a minotaur. So like Atmos staggers forward a couple feet as he just like 5-finger palms like his spine. Is like you swear you see a fig come up. Clumsy me. Do excuse me. Is Detect Thought still up?
It lasts for a minute, I think. Let me check my spells. Detect thoughts. Yeah, for a minute. So.
Okay. That entire exchange. No, I say it's down now, so you don't hear what he thinks in that exact second. Which is probably good for him, because he would not be alive if you had heard it. And so he excuses himself.
Ronos would be so proud of me.
Nice, my dear. Up top.
Yeah.
The rest of you hear a whoosh, just like the sound of two hands slamming together, and you have no idea where it came from. Mubarak sort of like watches him walk away and says, "We have a name for men like him in Skofos. We call them rams. For they love to flash their horns. But really, all they do is bleat.
I like that.
So he's gone now.
Yeah.
Like Uncle's gone. Okay. Well, she'll turn to the group, I guess. Well, I didn't anticipate that he would be here, but I'm hopeful that the rest of the individuals locally are going to be a little more insightful, delightful, or otherwise interesting to talk to.
Barak says, "Indeed, do not let me keep you, although this is the esteemed Hilira I have been told so eloquently about.
Hi, I'm Hilira.
Your friend Bakios spoke so highly of you.
That's very nice of him. What can I do for you?
I do hope that this can be an opportunity for our peoples. I don't share my brethren's taste for endless conflict, at the very least in times of crisis. And I hope this can be an opportunity, if nothing else. Our peoples have not always seen eye to eye, and I cannot promise that my brethren will be convinced, but with the right incentives, they may yet have their ear bent.
What kind
But I
of
cannot do that alone.
incentives?
I'm not entirely certain, I will confess you that.
Oh.
What would make it worth their while for an army of Minotaur? Food, captives is the obvious answer, but perhaps not the right answer. Although, if you are as wise and brilliant as Bakios claims you to be,
Mhm.
I have faith you may think of something.
Well, okay.
It would
I think he
stump
might have.
me, to be sure.
I think he might have confused me with Bithynia. I know our names sound similar sometimes when you've had a lot to drink. Because the words you're saying are not me, they're more Bithynia. But yeah, I'll talk to Bithynia and I'll see if I can get some incentives.
Mhm. You know your people best, so your insight may help this. Bithynia, justice to Bithynia, may help Bithynia. And to be clear, I do not speak for myself. Were it up to me, the answer would be of course, for I understand that the threat of Tiamat affects us all. But I need to be able to take something to my people that will convince them. I do not speak for them. I do not decide for them. I can only speak for them and relay unto them.
Okay. Like, what do they really like? Like, do they like gold? Or do they like, I don't know, jewels?
Gold, blood, meat. They are... He smirks for a second. Imagine an entire city of your friend over here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Bokios would really get along with you guys. I
It
feel like
is such a shame we are so often at arms against each other then. For Akros and Scopus do have a lot in common, I believe.
Yeah.
But alas, I shan't keep you. You have much work to do, and I do not want to be a drag. I will bid you good evening. I hope to see you around, and if not, I will definitely see you at the summit tomorrow. Good evening. And he sort of, and the ground vibrates slightly as he walks away. This is a chonky boy.
Nice.
Well, as this is going on, are we like, can we see other people going like around? Like, do we notice anyone else that we don't notice? And do we still have the teenage boy with us who's just like there?
Yeah, he's like... Actually, no. He got pulled away by his advisors. Yeah, you see a multitude of other people. Do you want to go to one at random, or are you looking for something? So this is the DM asking. You can pick one at random, or you can tell me if you're looking for something in particular, or I can describe to you some individuals you see.
I want to go to the Crowan person, but Bithynia can do her thing first, and then I'll...
Cool. I'll keep that up here.
I can go with. I can mix and go. Is there someone from Glaceon here?
Yes.
Okay.
Concentrated on the task at hand, I see.
It's very important to network.
Yes. Prince Alcibiades is here once more. You've met him before. He is the same individual who sat with Tanis during her, who accompanied Zoe the time she came back to deliver Tanis, and who attended Tanis's like sort of formal ceremony. He is the dignitary from Glaceon that you guys have met before, and he's here again.
Okay, so she will go over there and again be quite cordial and say, Prince, it's good to see you here yet again.
Bithynia, thank you for the invitation. It is good to be back.
Have you been in town long?
Just arrived this morning, actually.
Hopeful that the accommodations they've provided for you were as accommodating as the last, if not
As
more.
ever, Meletis is the most gracious of hosts. Glaceon is very grateful for your generosity.
Is he with anyone standing with him? Like guards or anything?
Couple guards, an entourage of like 4 or 5 officials. He's like, they're giving him his space, but he's got a posse. And
Gotcha.
most
They
people
mentioned...
have a posse. Mubarak's a bit unique in terms of he was just by himself.
Gotcha. Yeah, I figured he'd have a few. Okay. So she'll say, yes, I'm glad that you were able to make it. I've made sure that tomorrow will be as hospitable as this evening's festivities. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get some good conversations and decisions made tomorrow.
I agree.
Has there been any new developments in Glaceon recently?
We have moved the citizens from the peripheral shantytowns towards the immediate shantytowns on the city's edges. Better to pull them inwards in the event of an attack. We are shoring up our defenses so that we're capable of repelling an attack at the moment's notice.
You'll see a smile across your face. It's good to hear. I'm always grateful to hear that the defenses of any city are able to be proactive as needed instead of having to rely on being reactive. Has there been anything that...
He sort of jumps on that. What happened in Melitis has frightened a lot of people, not just in Glaceon. Many are retreating inwards out of fear that they're next.
And
I'd
she'll
say
look
I
back.
disagree.
And so she'll look back. Well, I can assure you that the members of Tempest here, as well as the dignitaries that have come here, have hopefully done so under a unified vision of working together to defeat this so that individuals don't have to leave their homelands or live in fear no matter where they're at, should they not be able to retreat.
I agree. I hope so. I myself would love for things to return to easier times, fewer tensions, but it feels like none are safe in these times.
Yes, I am hopeful though that that feeling will be fleeting, and with the resources and the talents that each person possesses, that they will be able to do something to feel like they have the ability to contribute not only for themselves but for others.
I fear, many fear, that contributing leaves themselves vulnerable. I'd be lying if I said I did not share that feeling.
Well, that's the upside of working together, is that we don't always have all of the answers on our own, but working together can help offset what we might lack. Some of us are much better in some arenas than others, but collectively I think that everyone has something that they can contribute, whether it be on the being part of the offense or the defense. I don't know where we're at, as I haven't really got an update on where this attack is going currently or status, but preparations underway. So,
From what we understand, Akros is encircled and the dead are simply waiting out the living.
well, I'm sure that as she's like peering over the crowd, I'm sure that we'll be able to get more information tomorrow and to better determine who can help and where. There are assets that we have that I'm sure can be helpful even if we're this far south from the city. I don't know
Indeed.
what, but
That is part of the problem. If, in my case as well, for example, if I'm to march all the fighting forces of Glaceon north, at the back of my mind, I have screaming the thought that they will not be able to return to defend Glaceon if the true attack is from behind.
That is true. That is a worthwhile thing to consider, but there are things that I'm sure, whether it's education or safety from a distance, that maybe can be used to some capacity. I know that while we were out, I know that we were some kind of way well removed from any city, and yet Zoe herself was able to reach out and acknowledge safe passage at least more than once.
Communication is part of it, and there may be many methods, and I hope this worry can be alleviated at tomorrow's summit, but the main worry is if our forces are in one place, they're not there to protect the city when the real attack happens. But we can discuss this in greater depth at the summit. I must go.
Understood.
He sort of like shies away a bit awkwardly and sheepishly. He feels like you get the sense he's like doesn't want to like sort of put a dampener on things. But he's sort of just seems like he's got a lot on his mind. So he's like, "Good evening," and sort of shuffles off to the side.
Okay.
Cool. Whilst that's happening, Hilera, you wanted to go to the older Akron gentleman?
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, he spots you and immediately in his eyes like he smiles, like he immediately recognizes your sort of attire.
Mhm.
Good evening, my lady.
Hi. I don't think we've had the pleasure before. I'm Lady Hilera.
Lysipos, the pleasure is all mine. He specifically will say, Lectoi, Lysipos. The pleasure is all mine.
I'm sure it is. How have you been?
About as well as you have, I imagine. Where people fight and starve and feel powerless for them. But I am an old man who took to mercantilism when he was too decrepit to fight. And I was stuck in this city during the attack on Meletis. And I felt like I can do nothing since but show up and protest it and just try to be heard by someone. But at least this summit is happening, and that warms my heart, if only a little.
Yeah. I'm not sure how this one's gonna pan out.
Well, you know my Latians. They love to not shut up about not shutting up, but I trust Perisofia, and I trust that despite all the fictitious squabbling, I do wish to do the right thing. I have to hope that. That's all we have.
That is true. Well, that's been a bummer. It was a pleasure to see you.
A pleasure. Always a pleasure to
Absolutely.
meet one of the House of the Bear.
You know my father, I presume.
Good man.
Hmm.
Lacks lacks a delicate touch, perhaps, but who am I to talk?
I think that's what happens when you have three sons and then all of a sudden 2 daughters, you know.
Yup. See, I was pretty lucky. I had 2 daughters and 2 sons, and the daughters were older. So the sons grew up terrified of them.
Smart.
I've tried to box them around the ears in the vague direction of a good upbringing. We do what we can.
We do.
I just hope I can see them again.
They're still in Akros.
Yes, that is where they reside.
Sorry, what house were you again?
He sort of moves, so you see like his pauldron as well, and you see a sort of serpentine form coiled around on itself. Yeah, don't even roll for it. You recognize it, and he says it aloud. House of the Viper.
Wonderful. Would I know any of his family?
Roll a, I'm not going to say history check because I feel like there's an element of chance to this.
Mm-hmm.
Roll a d20 and add your charisma bonus.
Okay. I just want to make this poor man feel better. Oh, that was really good. 21.
Hits you like a freight train. He has 2 boys. His youngest, actually, Inopion, is about your age, like about a year older than you.
Mm-hmm.
Inopion has an older brother named Nothon, who is 5 years older than that, and used to play with them all the time. And yeah, you remember the 2 older sisters, Anthea and Priapas, and Priapsis, and they were a piece of work. Very very bossy girls, and love to pick on their brothers a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I will just mention that. Just be like, oh yeah, I know them, blah, 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 blah.
That sounds like my daughters, all right.
Yes.
Good. Told them any man worth his salt should be afraid of them.
All right. I am going to keep mingling. I feel like I need to convince more people.
I agree.
Hmm.
It was wonderful to speak to you. Good evening.
Lovely
And he'll
evening.
excuse himself.
Claire will just turn around from this man and like hyperventilate for a second. Straighten her back and keep going.
Okie dokie. Bot, you still going to Chowtown? Muted.
Oh, very much so. Loving all this food. I've now worked my way to the sweet section because sugar has not really been a thing I've enjoyed as much as I like. So yeah, just chowing down.
Very well. You do find these sort of balls of fried dough that are soaked in honey, and you just go to town on those.
Oh, nice.
Amalia, do you wish to do anything? I will take that as a no. In that case, I'll leave it. I'll throw it open. What would anybody like to do?
So,
I have a thing I would like to do, if that's okay.
Yeah.
The older guy whose beard got caught on
Oh, yeah.
fire when we first
Yep.
arrived. Is he around?
He's
or
around.
Did he just leave because he was
No,
having
he's
a bad
around. He's
time?
got a few patches in his beard now, but he's around.
Because I think the like logo, sigil, whatever that he's wearing, that probably would have stood
Yep.
out to Xanthia. So she would like to approach him and just have a
He's
little chat.
staring into like a big jug of water at his own reflection, like.
I think maybe cutting your beard a little bit shorter might help, cover that up.
Yeah. What do you think? If I shave here and go full mutton chops into walrus mustache, too much? Or dignified?
I think it would be very distinguished.
Are you lying, or do you believe that?
I believe
Alright.
that.
Fair enough. Perhaps. Sorry, I've not had the pleasure. You are?
Xanthia, you are?
Nereus. Councilman Nereus, representing Citrium.
Citrium. Were you in the military by any chance?
What gave it away? And he gestures to his. So he's wearing basically the sort of like half armor, half formal attire robe that the Akron man is wearing. This guy's basically wearing like a blue black with like hints of red, almost like a Miletian version of that. He's similarly wearing like a breastplate as part of his formal attire. This would be the sort of ancient Greek equivalent of like a soldier who wears like his sort of like formal military fatigue to a formal event. If you ever seen that, I don't know if that, Rebecca, you might know. Does that have a name? The like
For what?
military suit that like soldiers can wear to like a formal event.
Dress blues or dress whites?
Yeah, he's wearing the equivalent of dress blue, like the ancient Greek equivalent of dress blues.
All of that, also Jason, never quite get that out of your system. I
That's
think.
true. It's the slightly bent knees to get the sea legs.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugh,
No, I get it.
it feels weird sometimes going on dry land.
Were you fighting in the war? You look like you could be from that era.
I'm old as fuck, is what you're saying. I get it.
I think you're holding yourself really well.
Thank you. Yes, I was. I was.
Reminds me of my grandfather, who is also part of a unit. I think they were also stationed in Citrium for a while.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Yes, that war, in many ways brought us a lot closer together. Put things into perspective.
Yeah, you only start seeing like what really matters in a situation like that.
Indeed. I worry we're about to fall into that all again with what is to come.
Yeah, I worry about the same thing, but I think thankfully my good friend Bithynia has organized all of this. Like, was her idea mostly, so we can hopefully come up with a solution so we can prevent like an all-out war or prevent the loss of many lives.
I hope so too. I worry this is... Make a persuasion check, actually.
Ooh, okay. 17 plus 8 is
35.
25. Is that
Okay, he'll be a bit more divulgent. Citrium is small, and my people are sailors, not warriors. I worry I would throw their lives away if I commit them to a fight.
I understand. But the war and military history, that's part of your city's identity, is it not?
On the waves, yes. We built ships against the Hasidians. We were a shipwright base. Produced the finest triremes Theros has ever seen. And we still do. But our actual numbers are smaller. And we know to fight on the sea, not on land. And this is the dead we speak of. I do not know if I would be prepared to commit the lives of the Citrium's warriors. Stupid wash. The thought of committing lives to such a disadvantageous situation makes me uneasy.
I completely understand that. And someone who's actually fought the army of the dead before. Did you know that while they attacked Melodies, they had a naval base, a big flotilla?
I have heard of the construct, yes.
Mm-hmm. Who's to say if they have more?
You're right. I worry. And to my point, how can we defend against such a thing if our warriors are in the mountains?
That is a valid point of concern. At the moment, we frankly lack a lot of information, but we believe that if we are able to strike soon, that we can avoid a situation like that.
He nods. Well, you and your band certainly carry yourselves with persuasive arguments. He gestures to Atmos, and it is obvious to all that you walk with the gaze of the gods, and perhaps that is a persuasive argument in and of itself. We shall have to see.
Yeah. All I'm asking for is that you're open to the conversation.
To that, I always nods. Oh. Whilst that is happening, Amalia, do you wish to do anything? Do we have an Amalia? Okie doke. Whilst that is happening, Bithynia, you wanted to, I think I remember, you wanted to say, do something?
Yeah, well, there's two that I was interested, one that I was interested in definitely finding out, and that was Altrosos.
Altrizos.
Altrosos. Yeah,
Okay,
I definitely was interested in finding them because that would be an interesting conversation.
Make an investigation check.
I got an 8.
Okay. You're trying to pick him out in the crowd. And because you know they have a darker blue to sort of their robes, typically.
Yeah.
And
Same origin in Melodies. Well,
yeah. And it's a little on the darker side, so it's this is in the wet, like the light outside, so it's hard to spot. But you spot what you think might be a set of Altrizos robes, and so you go over there and tap it on the shoulder. And you go over there. It turns around and no, it's just King Gregor again, the boy king. It's like the dark blue, like the black looks like dark blue in this particular light. So you got with an 8, I'll say that's. So you saw him and his sort of guards in that sort of robe looked. You said, could that maybe be dark blue? I'll double check. Light isn't great. It's sort of getting, it's night at this point. Well, I mean, it's well lit, but so yeah, you make that mistake. It was like, oh, hi again, Bithynia.
Oh yes. I was just checking back in with you to make sure that everything was going well. I realized that you were whisked away without a proper goodbye.
Yeah, advisors wanted to speak to me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course. And so then she will just kind of turn and
Okay.
yeah, she'll try to look out. I guess
Before you go to turn,
Mhm.
you he goes to say he just about gets thank you. I appreciate it out of his mouth before you literally have to take a step back as through some invisible force a Gregor is hoisted in the air, so he seems to float off of the ground. Like literally chatter dies down, and as he like in half a second rises like 10 feet into the air. And then is slammed, just smashed into the ground. And that's where we're gonna go to break.
No! What did you do to our son?
Don't murder my kid!
Do it. You know
adopted
it's
him.
true. Do it.
He's
No!
ours now.
We will be back in about 14 minutes or at 20 past 9 GMT time. Everybody, top up on your snacks, use the restroom, and freshen up, and we'll see everyone back here then at that time to resume this sudden turn of events. I'll be right back. Main mode. Are we back? Are we live?
Yeah.
Hey, we dipped. We've like come back prematurely just because we've come to a bit of a decision just based on the fact that Morse is having technical issues. I believe Violet is also having technical issues, and our lovely Tamara is needing to get an early night tonight, and that would put us at 3 players for the evening, which is half. And I'm, as a DM, not comfortable with proceeding the story, proceeding with the story without with just half the people present, because especially with this big cliffhanger and everything that's about to happen, I wouldn't want people to miss out. Wouldn't want people to have to catch up on too much. And it's also a good point to dun dun dun, and it's that way the question of what is about to happen is hanging over everyone's heads for a whole week.
Nice, I like it.
So we are going to make the tough, but we're going to make the choice to conclude the session there for the evening. Bit of an earlier session, I know, but we'll be back next week at 7 p.m. GMT to resume this, and I promise it'll be a longer session where we'll get into the meaty nitty-gritty of it all. Let's bit of a shout out, because we've had a bit of a influx this session, which I love. Thank you to Lawless Rattler, love that, for the follow. Welcome. Shocking Escape, love that. Welcome. Dungeon Master Ray, also welcome. Who also subscribed on for 1 month at tier 1. Thank you so much. We love to see it. We love it, and we are grateful. And as well, huge thank you to Moira Ravenside, as always, for being awesome as ever. Thank you for the posture check. Lord knows I need it. And last but certainly not least, DndUnleashed. Indigent Handboo. Jesus, that's those are 4 words that kind of blend together. Cool username, sorry. Thank you for the follow as well. We deeply appreciate it. And speaking of deep appreciations, would not be anywhere without my wonderful players. And it's time for them to tell you about themselves. Rebecca, would you like to take it away?
Yeah. Hello. I am everywhere on the internet as Bomb Clancy, and then on TikTok you can find me under Mimic for Hire with some D&D goodness, and then Sire for Hire for VTM goodness.
Awesome sauce. Allie, take it away. Allie, you're muted.
Muted.
I really hate this headset. Hey guys, you can find me under @AngelUndies on Instagram. I primarily do cosplay and D&D 3D printing stuff, and also cosplay commissions. So hit me up if you need anything made custom.
Awesome.
Like these braces I'm making for the DM.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Let me know when you get your 3D printing files sorted out.
The guy said Monday, so that should be the case.
Then they will be printed next week.
Excellent. Moving on to Virla, if you would like to tell these fine folks about yourself and what you're working on.
Okay, this is always a really awkward moment because I feel like I have to write notes for this, and I'm not a very good note taker. That's tomorrow's thing. But on Saturdays, you can catch me at Roll Positive Gaming. I'm doing the Strict Saving game, and I'm playing a paladin who's also an Ash Elf from the Hells. And then on Sunday, I'm here playing Hilera. And then every 3rd Sunday of the month, I'm also playing in another game that starts earlier, so I'm flip-flopping between the games. And I am playing a fighter who is half bird. And also I have an Instagram. It's Verla.Louise with an E at the end. I feel like that's all.
Yes, do check out that monthly campaign. There's a hilarious explanation for the partial absence of her partial absence. Her character literally is this a secret, or
we haven't really figured out how it's gonna work yet.
But is the
So-
is what it? Okay, I'll say no more. But there's a cool little mechanical explanation which I was shared with me, and I find hilarious. Do check that out. I can't wait to see how it materializes. And that brings us to Tamara.
Hi. I don't know. I start my first adult job tomorrow, which is why I have to leave early because I'm nervous as fuck. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter and on TikTok under the username mar_enated, and on Instagram you can find me at itsmar_enated. And yeah, you can expect more adult life freakouts and like pictures of the new city that I moved to, I guess.
Yay! And so Morst, as famously, does not have social media. So we'll leave it at that. We do miss him terribly this evening, and hopefully his PC will be repaired next week and he can join us. Violet, you can catch her on Instagram at Violet_Riddle_ for all her cosplay content, which is awesome in Q. And as always, you can catch her as Amalia on this show right here. And me, I'm Electrum_cosplay on Instagram for all my cosplay content. And the show's socials are DC30 official on all platforms. And if you like this content and you want to be part of more of it, you can join our Discord for all sorts of extra behind the scenes stuff, fun, extra resources, tokens I make, tips and tricks for flavoring your campaign for an ancient Greek setting, and more. All there on the Discord, which is believed and shared by Nightbot in the chat. And on that note, I will say formally goodbye. Have a wonderful evening. We are DC30. Take care.